Welcome to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Hartley. This podcast exists to equip and inspire your heart-centered leadership. Every week, we bring interviews with some of the greatest heart sets and mindsets on the planet. I hope the heartprint of our time spent together is that it creates new possibilities for you and all those you come into contact with. If you'd like to explore what we could make possible for you, then head to abty.co.uk/connect and book in a free 30-minute call to begin our journey together. I just want to express a huge amount of gratitude to our sponsors, Exhale Coffee. I have been a big fan of Exhale Coffee since meeting Alex and the team back in 2022. Exhale is the first coffee to be sourced, roasted and lab tested specifically to maximize its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory potency. An independent lab test has shown that 1 cup of Exhale Coffee has the same antioxidant power as 1.8 kilos of blueberries or 55 oranges. I'm a huge fan, and Mrs. H loves the decaf, especially because she knows that Exhale use the mountain water decaffeination process, which uses only pure glacial water from the highest mountain in Mexico and no nasty chemicals. Simply head to exhalecoffee.com/ABTY for your special offer. And lastly, before I introduce this week's guest, please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It would really help us leave a greater heartprint on this world. On episode 305, what a joy it is to welcome our great friend Esther McCann back to the podcast. Esther is a UK leading manifestation expert, feminine energy coach, and the author of Manifesting Happiness, a journal to attract all good things. It's been 3 years since Esther was last on the show. We catch up on her life, we talk about the release of her book Manifesting Happiness, and the latest expression of her heart work. May this episode be of an encouragement to your higher self-expression. It's episode 305 with Esther McCann. Esther McCann, welcome back to the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast for a third time. How are you?
Oh, very, very good. Thank you for having me. 3 times around, I must be doing something right.
Right, yeah, otherwise I'm looking for guests. I can't find it. I just interview my mates and keep you humble.
Yeah, I was like, oh, desperate times. You
No.
come knocking.
Listen, I love our times too. This is like a good catch up for us anyway, isn't it? You were on episode 26, then episode 173. That was actually 3 years ago now.
Which
that last one? The
What?
episode 173.
Ooh,
I know. So you've obviously been great, and you've come back in, and you were in our Master Heart and Mind as a guest speaker. So we talked about the release of your book within the private group and the private community, but not officially on this podcast. So yeah, we'll leave space for that. We'll make some room for that, but just fill us in. Like, what's been going on? 3 years. Fill us in.
that's crazy. I would not have thought it had been 3 years since that at all. And to be fair, I do remember coming into the group, and that feels like forever ago. Honestly, I've had a really weird time, wild time since my book got released. And it's probably not what I guess people would expect. I think if you have a book out, and I will say there's a little bit of this expectation myself as well. I think people suddenly think, oh my God, you've made it. You know, this is it. You've hit the big time. You're sorted for life. You know, this is it. And I remember, I don't know if I've told you this, but bumping into Kirsty Gallagher, the author, at an event that I went to. And I said to her, oh, as a first-time author, have you got any advice for me? And she said, oh, it's very anticlimactic. I remember thinking, well, thanks a lot. Like that's not what I really wanted to hear. But she's not wrong. And it just feels like when this book goes out into the world, that is the seed. And I think you think that when your book goes out into the world, that's it. You've got your tree, and all your fruits are going to come from the tree, and so on and so forth. But I really do feel like the book going out is just a seed that's being planted in many places with many people all over the world, and it makes impact that you will never know about. You know, you've no idea who, you know, reads your books or watches your videos or listens to your podcast. And I think you just really have to connect into the unseen And honestly, like the lack of feedback, I think we really thrive, don't we, on like having feedback and validation. I think you just really have to know that you've put something out there that's powerful, but it's so easy to lose sight of that. But honestly, once my book was out there, I just went on this massive healing journey in terms of my romantic relationships. And I feel like, bless the book, but the book's just not even had that much of my creative focus since then. But at the same time, that's completely fine. Like the journey I've been on was so needed.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Mm.
I heard something recently that said that if you set goals, if you really want to like bring out your soul essence within those goals, you have to ask the question, just a two-word question after is what next? Let's just say we visualize the goal, we see it, and then ask what next, because it then really gets us to think about, well, you've had that. What is that going to do for you? And still be prepared that there will be the what next element of it. So it's a really powerful way to test our goals is to ask that. Just a simple question.
And it's a really difficult question, I think, because certainly in my line of work with manifesting, and I'm sure you can relate it in with your own work, a lot of people are just constantly going, what next, what next, what next, rather than being present with what they have achieved and their wins. And they're not really celebrating themselves or letting those achievements root in at an identity level. And it's that kind of constant chase for happiness. So
Mm.
I'm always very careful with what's next. Like I don't like to jump ahead, but I do think actually it's a very important question. And I probably wish I'd asked myself that a little bit more, because I think, especially without mentorship as well, you don't know, you know, how that's going to go next, you know, in terms of releasing a book. Like I don't really know hardly any other people that have done that. So I think I'm going to say next time there's a book or an oracle deck or whatever it is I'm putting out into the world, I've learned a lot and I will be better equipped, I think, for next time. But at the same time, there's only now, and I can always pick up, you know, the baton and run with it again and, like, you know, do more things with it and get creative with it. But yeah, I just think sometimes you're like, I've got this thing now and what do I do with it?
Yeah, I think what you just said is a big truth that we will live and learn. We will
Yeah.
live and learn. And I think it was the last time we did this, I came on your podcast. You were just starting up your podcast. I was one of your early guests, and I think I took us to church a little bit on that shit.
You did,
I
yeah.
was full of it. And I one of the things that really kind of, I lost my nan a couple of years ago, and
Mm.
my nan and I were really close, and still feel her presence in my life. But she like I remember having this moment where, would you bless her, we were just there in her living room surrounded by family on her final moments, and just having this overwhelming sense that everything's meaningless, not in a like nihilistic way, not in a nihilism, not in a but like wow, there's no meaning to this stuff. It has the deep, and it's quite a profound thing, but for me it was like it's about the experiences. Like no one can take any of this stuff with us. It's just about the experiences along the way, And I think writing a book, sharing the book, like feeling those kind of attachments and release it, like wow, like at least we know we're alive, right? Those
Right.
big feelings. And I think the wiser we get, the more we're able to ascend the kind of chaos, the pendulum of those. We don't get so hooked in next time, or maybe we do, But I think that's something about the wisdom is we realize next time that it's all a game.
But it's also, as you've just said, with the sort of, it's not meaningless,
Yes,
but it's all about the meaning we attach to everything. And so
that's
you
the punchline.
if you're attaching all these, like, oh, this could have gone better, or I wish I'd done that, or and it's just like, I think especially in entrepreneurship, I think you have to have a very, what I would almost call like slightly detached, stepped back observer of things, because I think if you take everything so personally and you create all these assumptions and meanings about you that are, if they're not the empowering ones, then they will cripple you. in that process. So
Yeah.
I agree with you fully. Like, I think, so much of our internal suffering is just purely around the meaning that we're taking and interpreting from absolutely everything. And I think when you can just suck all of that out, like if you could just suck all the crap, like all the crap meanings out with a Hoover and just leave like what's left and just go, actually, I can have this perspective, is
Yeah.
just freeing.
And sometimes the Trojan horse to that state is at least knowing that we get to choose the meaning. Is that because so often we're like, this means that. And it's like, then you come across other people that say, well, that doesn't mean that for me. And you think,
Right.
oh, okay, that, if I sit and observe that, and it's like, oh, so that means, and actually I can observe the meaning of nice weather to mean two different things and 2 different days and two different, oh, this is nice rain. Oh, this is horrible rain. Oh, this is nice sunshine. Oh, this is too much, there's no objective kind of interpretation that we provide. So yeah, that's so how's things going with your YouTube?
I'm loving YouTube. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm just about to start. I mean, I'm in the first week of kind of going in this, like, okay, consistent trajectory that I'm going to do. And I'm going to do, my subliminals
Hmm.
on Sundays. I'm going to do Pep Talk Tuesdays, which I'll come to in a minute, and then EFT tapping on Thursdays. And I know that, it's difficult because obviously when if we're talking about channel building and things like
Hmm.
this, I often do feel like your audience will kind of let you know what they like, and then you go,
Yeah.
oh, hang on a minute, that video is doing really well, got a bunch of subscribers from that, they're obviously interested in this, I'll make more of it. And I think that is a lot of how YouTube goes. That being said, I'm also kind of like, it's my channel, and
Yes.
I want. And I know that lots of people, I get comments all the time going, oh, I love this EFT and I love, these pep talk affirmations, which is more of a kind of me having a you are this conversation with you, like as a best friend kind of thing. And they might not get as many views, but I just think it doesn't matter. There's some people out there that are really loving that. I'm not going to start a whole
Mm.
new channel for them. And I'm going to throw those in as well. And it really is just looking at it and going, they're all affirmations. It's all about how you want to create your story. It's just
Mm.
different transformative tools for different people, different strokes for different folks. I think they.
Yeah. So I remember the reason why you came on last time is because we were just about to do the 5-year party, the 5-year celebration. You were a guest speaker at that event, and we were
Was
talking.
so rough.
You weren't feeling very well, bless you, but you got up and nailed it. And I looked at the numbers that I wrote down my show notes. Your YouTube subs have doubled since that interview, and your views have tripled. So you're topping what, nearly 6 million, if not over 6 million views.
Definitely. I can tell you right now. And the thing is, it will just keep compounding. And
Mm.
I know it's not completely true. You can go on YouTube and you can have instant growth. You can. I've seen people do that. So for me to say it's a long game, I don't want to throw that out there over people. You do what you want to do and you create your reality. I've only really posted one video a week for the last 5, 6 years. And I think that where it's at, considering it's only been one video a week, I'm very happy with that. It's been nice effort. It hasn't been overstretching, blah, blah, blah. So I just, don't think, can complain really. I'm quite happy with it. I,
Yeah.
I find it will be. Oh, there it is. Silly me. Goodness sake. Right. Lifetime views. Yes. 6,392,000.
Ooh, okay. What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's mad, isn't it, really, when you think about it? I think, obviously, I understand the context of why people are watching these videos. And I think what
Which is?
people want to better their lives, people want to improve themselves, and people want to expand. And I
Mm.
think that's really amazing. Um, Especially, I think there's a lot of people out there that think they can't change, or that life is what it is what it is, and it's happening to you, and that's just facts.
Mm.
So I think for me, it's really amazing to know that there's people out there that they believe for better, and they believe that they can change. The most important thing for me is that they know that they are the change. I do always, I know how it is with manifesting. People kind of put a lot of faith in the tool or the magic wand, and I'm like, no, it comes from you. And so as long as people are tapping into their power, their divine power, that's incredible. I'm just a channel for whatever wants to be made to help people at the end of the day.
And obviously I talk about the word heartprint, and a heartprint is, for every interaction there's like a pebble in the lake, right? That one,
Yeah,
that's 6.3 million of those little pebbles.
there's a whole lot of pebbles.
And all those concentric rings that are just,
Yeah,
life infinitely different,
yeah.
and I agree with what you said earlier about sometimes you have to have faith to know that that was a good ripple that went out, and sometimes you may never see the fruits of that ripple. I know I've just blurred two analogies in one there.
I'm
I've turned ripples into fruits, but
rippling fruits. No, it's so, and I think that's, you do have to just detach from that, because I think so much of social media and life today is centered around like gratification,
yeah,
validation, and when you don't get that, it is really easy to create a meaning of, am I doing something wrong? Does no one like my stuff? And I think, especially, I remember, I don't have a screenshot of it, I wish I did, but I do remember when I had 2 subscribers, and it was, one of them was my lodger at the time, and one of them is my friend. No one that's even like massively interested in what I do. And it's just crazy. And I remember, you've got videos that aren't getting anything, and you just have to keep going. You have to believe what you're putting out is worthwhile. And I think that's the thing that I love about YouTube is it's a search engine. So as long as you frame it up correctly with your SEO and all of that, you can be found again and again and again, and people will always be looking for these types of things.
yeah.
Whereas I think that's what I've struggled with a lot lately with Instagram, is it's not a search engine, and I think it's quite, well, maybe I should affirm it, but I can't search for people on Instagram very easily unless you've got their handle. Like, I find it, it's really what they're promoting. And yeah, so that's why I've kind of taking a lot of my stuff and just putting it over there, because I know it will get found.
You and I have been friends for a long time, and I hope I can say this with love and friendship, is that you're a creative, and like, I can see the artwork you've got in the background, you've got standards, you've got real kind of, I imagine you're tormented by a vision that you want to bring into, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can see how you want it to be in your mind's eye before it's reality. And like, there's, so I know this about my wife's a bit like that too. She'll have a vision of what she wants to bring forth, and that kind of, I guess it's the creative torment of wanting it to be as good as you can imagine it to be, right? How do
Yeah.
you personally like remind yourself to come back to that state of creation and the joy, and or even just when you're believing the illusions that life is hard, stressful, chaotic, whatever it might be? Like, how do you bring yourself back to the truth?
Well, I think, as you were saying there, you used the word standards. And I think perfectionism comes a lot in. And it's not just, we're talking about art, we're talking about creating anything. Like, I think people feel if it's not good enough, I'm not going to bother. And I think it is really hard when you do get bombarded now with all these incredible people who are doing incredible things. And I think it can be really difficult to go, I'm capable of doing incredible things, but I'm really, I'd say, a chapter 1 or a chapter 5, or, and the world is noisy. So, what's the point? Like, what's the point? And I think when you're thinking, like, what's the point? And because I know we're talking a lot about impact here and heartprint, but for me, I think sometimes you have to think the point is
Yeah.
is actually about what I gain from making it, and the enjoyment that I have in the process. And I understand it's like, especially with things like music and art, it is also there because you're like, I want this to be seen and I want this to be heard. but I also have to trust that, like, even if only one person was meant to see that picture, even if only one person was meant to hear that thing and it had a ripple effect in them, that's enough. It's not always about mass. But I do find, like, for me, I'm just at the minute really going through this creative process of, I want to do, honestly, at the minute, I'm like, I want to do everything. Got everything. Your wife probably understands this because I know that she sings, she plays instruments, she paints. Like, we probably fall into a very similar category, have a lot of different things that we want to do. And I do know this feeling of, like, I've had seasons where I'll specifically focus on one of those, kind of call it hobbies or interests or whatever, because that's something that's wanting to come through then. But I'm just in this place of, I want to do it all. I don't want to get to a place in my life where I haven't explored those things, where I haven't nurtured those things.
Yeah.
I want to look at it as, like, I want to do it for me.
Yes.
But I'm not going to say that I don't want it to, but I don't need it to be about money. I think everything at the minute is like, oh, you got a secret talent, you should monetize that.
Yeah. I heard somebody that said millennials have turned all their hobbies into businesses, and now they've got no hobbies left.
Right. And this is the thing, like, this is the thing. So this is another thing that I remind myself with from manifesting, is that having things that give you pure presence, where there's no resistance, when you're spending that time on those things and you lose time, you're just letting creativity flow through you. There you are in your purest state for manifesting. Because you're not thinking, where's my stuff, or worrying about anything. You're not thinking about anything other than what you're doing. And so for me, if you then take all those hobbies and you're like, these need to make me money, and they become pressured, or it's like, if I didn't get a like on this thing, I haven't enjoyed it. It just rots that incredible gift. So for me, there are certain things where I'm like, that I have no intention to ever, ever try and turn that into anything, because that is just my secret weapon, my energetic weapon.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's reverse engineering that, isn't it? It's a gift, right? It's a gift for us to first experience the bringing of it. And, Lisa, I always laugh at Lisa because, like, when she's in a state of flow, like you've just described, it's effortless, right? She does the most beautiful things. And then wonderful things happen when she shares it. And someone from whoever knows where says, I want to buy that. And she's like, what? You want to buy that? And then the ego goes, well, maybe I could make it a business. Maybe this is my offshoot. Maybe I could leave my job. And then someone asks her to paint the Welsh dragon, and she's like, I don't want to do that.
Right. And I think that's it. It's like going, if it brings me some money, fantastic.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be a parrot, or, like, I don't know, like, I'm getting like a monkey with symbols, like, just like something that feels like you're churning and you're not truly then enjoying it. Because I've now set up to say that I do custom subliminals, custom EFTs, and I actually love doing that. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. I get a lot of enjoyment from that. I know, and I enjoy talking to the person and collaborating with them. But yes, drawing something for somebody is a different, that needs to come from me.
Yeah, and a game is self-awareness, right? The more we become aware of, what do I have? How do I like to bring that? Why do I want to bring it? Who do I want to share it with? Like, for money, not for, like, that's like you and I, and no one should be going to a coach saying, do these things. Yeah, do this and you will get all the results. It's more of a case of what's within you. What do you have? What do you want to bring? Like, what do you feel joyful, flow state? And I guess I would call that heart work, and you're calling that higher self-expression.
And I'd also call it boundaries, because I think there is so much there where I call it a combo, actually, of, like, boundaries and abundance mindset, to know that if you don't want to do something, you don't have to do it. And I think we've probably maybe both been there a long time ago, where we've took on, maybe, whether you want to call it clients or projects, that we're like, oh, I don't really know. Like, I'm not sure about this, but, there's some money there or whatever. And then, like, you go into it and you're like, oh, I knew my intuition was like.
Speaking to me about the paradox of boundaries and not having to do it? Because Esther, isn't boundaries a lack mentality?
I think for me, boundaries is about me honoring my soul and self love.
Yeah.
It's not about fear. So I now am very much like, if I don't think that is going to light me up, if that's going to rob me in some other area of
Yep.
my life, I won't do it. And I don't think that's out of fear or lack. I think that's out of personal power, and I don't need it. Like, it's like putting up with a bunch of rubbish people in your life and going, oh, but I'm putting up with those people because I'm worried there's no other people. To me, that's a lack mentality.
Mhm.
I'm like, actually, no, I'd rather protect my peace and trust that there's better out there for me.
And the reason I asked you so playfully is because
Yeah.
that is the mindset of someone who is an overgiver, an oversharer, who is told to do boundaries and is like, well, I can't do boundaries. That's selfish.
Mm,
Versus it could be the most loving thing you do for both yourself and for them, like
yeah.
coming from a place of wholeness.
Yes. And I recently had to say to somebody, look, because they were asking me to do something. And I said, listen, I said, I don't want to come across, because I sort of said no. I was quite
Mhm.
firm with the no. And then it was
That
kind of,
was firm. That was firm.
it was firm. And
I
then,
felt that.
but then I had to, it kind of carried on a bit. And then I sort of, because I said to them, I don't want to have to explain to you why this is a no, because I feel like I'm now going into excuses land. And there isn't, when people are like, no is a complete sentence. And but in the end, I had to say, look, it is because of X, Y, and Z. You know, I don't want to come across as inflexible, but that's the facts. And they said, honestly, I'm learning so much from you just by you being firm and honoring yourself and having these boundaries. And I said, honestly, I said, that has made my day. I said, as a recovering people pleaser, to hear that, I was just like, yes, I was cheering myself on.
And this is what Jesus meant when he said, I am the way. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to, you do shine a light for others in that space. But then at the same time, I think that is because that person, when I'm being like that, they go, damn, they know, they're like, I would love to have that for myself. She's inspiring me. I think there's someone else out there could take that a completely different way. And that's on them.
Mm,
I think it really is about, who's able to receive
mm.
sometimes. And again, we're coming back to meaning. They're
Yeah.
not, they're not interpreting that meaning as, it could be anything, like I'm not good enough, or they don't want me, or they're being difficult. Why is everyone difficult to me? Why does nothing go my way? It's all about subjective meaning, but I can't bend myself
Sure.
and
But
tread
what,
forever. It's too exhausting.
well, the irony is that people have that felt frequency. You can't you can't fake it, right? People feel it. And there's a lot of
Mm.
talk about fake it till you make it. I prefer to model it till you master it.
Oh, I love that.
Model it till you master it because it's through our it's through our demonstrate, like this is like sometimes the worst marketing for the church is its people. Sometimes the worst marketing for the spirituality is the amount of people talking about the spirituality.
Mm.
And I think and something different happens when you experience the love and the presence of someone that is modeling this stuff rather than teaching and preaching.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean, obviously, that I've been raised Christian, and I would say I still identify myself as such. I just don't participate in church life. I find it really hard. Like, I don't know, you're gonna laugh, maybe you'll laugh, maybe you won't. I've got a window cleaner, and he's Christian, and he
Mm.
is always trying to get me to come to I'm using inverted commas here for anyone who's just listening, like church, and it's his pastor, and they just meet in the pastor's house, but the pastor's not like an official pastor. And he says to me, he's like, come, you should come up on a Sunday and watch all your problems disappear. And I'm sitting there going, how's that cigarette working out for you, my friend? Don't talk to me about my problems. Like, give me a break. And
I'm sure there's some scripture about that.
I'm like, no, no, it's just, I don't know. But like, for me, I'm like, I want to, as soon as it becomes pressured, it's the same as like, because of, anxious attachment avoidant. I literally like, no, I'm out. Like, I'm running for the hills. I'm like, just don't pressure me. Like, I want to feel, and I think this is the thing with anything, right? Is that I think we know this in coaching. You have to come to things on your own decision. Like, it has to be your idea in order for it to really stick, I think.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if I'm going, I want to know where I'm going is good for me. Like, and people, like you say, people who truly are modeling it, not just rocking up on Sunday because they think, oh, this is my tick box Blue Peter badge to the pearly gates. But then they're, outside of church acting like,
Right.
all sorts.
And I think whether this is manifestation, faith, or any, to start to overly meddle with stuff is actually a demonstration of an absence of faith.
Mm.
If you're starting to force it it just it reveals where your own faith is lacking, not in somebody else. Because I think Jesus is King of Kings, right? I think he's one of the greatest humans that's ever walked this planet. I use my words very carefully and wisely. I say wisely. I choose my words very carefully. Maybe not so wisely, but it's interesting, isn't it? I don't want to go too political with it, but I think it's exactly what we're kind of getting at, which is by the fruits of our spirit will be known.
Have you watched? Because I'm reckoning you won't have. Have you watched Midnight Mass?
No.
Oh my gosh. So I watch it now. You're going to laugh. You're going to go, seriously? If anyone's listening and they've watched it, they're going to go, wow, okay. I watch it every Easter.
Yeah.
It's a horror, horror series. And it's about this very small island set in America, off the coast, back end of nowhere. And they've got, a little church community. It's difficult. I don't want to give too many spoilers, but long story short, they've got like an old vicar. He goes off on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, and then this young priest shows up in his place, and all these miracles start happening.
Yeah.
And it all goes horribly, horribly wrong. Like, when it couldn't go any more wrong. And obviously it's set on the Easter weekend, and it's all about the topic of rebirth, but it's just about what I would call point blank blind faith. People twisting the Bible for their own purposes. It is mad. If you don't mind a bit of, I mean, it's not really that gory. But then I've watched a lot of things. Honestly, Ryan, you got to watch it. You've got to watch it.
Is it going to enlighten me?
I think it makes you think about what is a good Christian. I think it makes you think about because this is one of the spiritual gifts, right? The gift of discernment. Like, it makes you think about discernment. And it's like, why was nobody on that island discerning that this shit was off from the get-go? Like, and you just sit there and you go, I'd have been out, from the beginning. And it's just wild, I think.
We're talking about wild. Have you seen the White House's Instagram feed at the moment?
No.
Oh my word! So everyone's looking at Trump as he's the next Messiah. I'm not going to share my opinion on Trump. I think he stands for some good things and stands for some crazy things. But the White House, it's like we're living in a dystopian future. Like, there's actual satire on a government. And as of May the 5th, they've AI'd him as a Star Wars character, ripped with muscles and a red lightsaber. So anyone that's interested in symbology and will know that the red lightsaber is certainly not the good guys.
No, it's not.
It's not the good guys.
Oh, post is this then? I'm looking at my phone right now. This is on the White House, you said?
At White House, yeah, and on the 5th of May, he's dressed as a
oh my gosh, I've just found it.
Show it for the screen for those who are watching.
Border Wars.
Oh, that's Border Wars. So now find the actual image of him looking like a
human smugglers. Premier sector. He's going for it.
What is he like?
So that's supposed to be Trump, is it? In his costume.
But there's an actual still image on the White House that's just him with a lightsaber.
I don't think that's there anymore.
It was this morning.
I've had to go into the reels to find that.
No, go on the grid. It is.
Oh, I've just found it. Right, hang on.
Look at that. Look at that. And for anyone that oh my god.
Wow.
Like, how is this national like
Oh, he did it for like the May the 4th be with you kind of.
That's it, May the 4th. I don't know what I said, May the 5th. May the 4th.
Wow, okay. I mean, my stance is I love someone who's got a sense of humor, you know? Like I do think we need a bit of humor in this world.
Yeah.
And a bit of like, might sound stupid, but like connection to people. Yeah. Like we connect, we, understand each other through stuff like this, through culture. Whether it's completely right or appropriate, or like we say, we're not going to go into the politics of it all.
Well, it's like the pendulum I was.
We're living it.
Yeah, it's like that pendulum I was saying earlier. Is it like 4 or 5 years ago, I would not have been able to look at that and just see the humor in it. I'd have been like, what? How are we able to accept this level of buffoonery from our most... and now I'm like, I don't trust those guys anyway. Like, now I can just look at it all and go, what sort of shit show are we watching?
I know. No, there's a lot that could be said there. Like, in terms of, you can go...
But I remember looking at remember you and I were sharing a few videos at the very start of COVID, and there's me thinking that 3 days later Trump was going to emerge with all this, like, it's all the Q stuff, right? He was going to emerge with all the information of all this stuff, and I got swept up into that stuff. Like, it was mind-bending. It was great because it woke me up to a few things going on in the world, but it was not so great because I was looking for those things all the time. And that's equally unhealthy, right? So I think you're right. Humor is a gateway to a higher vibration.
I think humor is a huge gateway to a higher vibration. I think the only thing that you could, because obviously we're not, the discernment factor is off here, but it's like, could it be that, it's like, I'll fool them all with my happy persona and my AI Star Wars ripped chest. But yeah, for me, humor is so important. And laughter, like, I think laughter is akin to love in terms of vibration. I mean, we all know, don't we, about like Monsters Inc. and the like laughter and how it's so much more powerful than the scream cans. I'm not got any intention of becoming a stand-up comedian at this point in my life. I think that ship has sailed for me. I'm not. It's not on the desire factor.
Your daughter, on the other hand, she has got the gift of humor.
She's very dry, though. Like, I think she's quite, because she's just got such a resting bitch face. I feel like she wouldn't. She'd probably just stand up there and rip someone apart. But yeah, she's very funny. But the thing is, I will say it, and I'm not saying either way, but she doesn't. I don't really, I feel like, influence her in any kind of way about political views, about world views, or anything. She could not be any less on the woke train. And I just sit there and go, okay. She's solid. But I personally think she's a reincarnated old lady in a kid's body,
Mm.
because the things that she says are just not normal for, I feel, someone her age. Her first boyfriend dumped her over the Easter holidays, and he dumped her basically for somebody else. And I said, "Oh, who is this girl then?" And she just turned around and she said, "It doesn't really matter, does it?" She said, "Because she's not the problem. He is." And I thought, flipping heck. What 12-year-old says that? Because even now, like as adult women, I know plenty of people, probably me included, like if anything ever went down, I'd be going, "Who is it? Like, who is she? What has she got that I don't?" And blah, blah,
Mm.
blah. And like, and I want to kill her. And it's like, you do, because you think she's come along, she's the problem. And actually the whole, it's it's not, it's the problem with your person and in your relationship.
Mm.
And if it wasn't that person, it'd be somebody else. So yeah, I was just stunned. I was
Mm.
quite emotional. I was like, crikey. I thought
It's
you're
amazing.
schooling me all the
Well,
time.
it's amazing, and I think this is like the ripple effect and testament of parenting, because to see our children demonstrate a way of being and a way of handling a situation in ways that we wouldn't have been able to is a testimony to, like, wow, hopefully look at what we've made possible in some small way by parenting.
I'd love to think, honestly, I'd love to think, and I know everyone would go, honestly, Esther, it is your parenting, but I honestly do feel like she comes with other wisdom that do you know what I mean? I just don't, I feel like I've only just started learning some of like this stuff in terms of particularly relationships and my healing journey with that, in the last few years. So for me to sit and go, 12-year-olds already got this down pat as, as a foundation. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm not too worried. At this point in that department with her, because she's got her head screwed on. But I just think, gosh, I kind of, wish I'd had that. It's just been like a long journey, I think.
Mm. So you're in the secondary phase. So I think you and I have a belief that we don't teach what we're going through, right? We got to real live this wisdom, to really experience it. So you're on the other side of that kind of lived journey now. How are you? Because your messaging's really narrowed down to those boss babes that just want to overcome that hustle, want to stuck in that out of balance.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I don't think I'm actually speaking at that level yet, but like that's who I'm consciously aware of. That whenever I'm working with clients, I've really gone in and gone, right, who are these women and why are they coming to me?
Mm.
And it's odd because they come to me about manifestation, but that's not really why they come to me. Like there's something else, and it's all to do with the fact that they do want to grow their own business, but a lot of them are very much in their masculine. They really struggle to receive. They struggle with perfectionism. They don't allow in help. A lot of them get burnout. A lot of them don't honor their creativity. They're not in their feminine energy. So yeah. So thanks for saying that's what I'm talking about, because I feel like, honestly, I think it's difficult with manifesting because it's so broad. And I'm trying to not move away from it, but it is very much about you on YouTube. It will always be all sorts. Um, but I
Well, I think the rewriting of the manifestation world is that we don't manifest from what we want; we manifest from who we're being.
right,
And if you don't like what you're getting, then
you have to change.
it's
Yeah,
yeah.
I've toyed around a lot with it, and I think you probably understand this. It's like sometimes I sit and I go, actually, I think what I do is like I'm an identity coach to some aspect. It's like I'm changing who you are so that you get different results. And you know, but at the minute, if I'm not coaching at the moment, but I think because of the journey that I've been on, with where I've been really transforming myself so that I feel able to hold a relationship, to receive love, and all these other things, and feel secure in my attachment style. I feel like actually at the moment, what I'm doing is really focusing a lot more on, like we were talking about, the creativity and the
Mm.
lighter aspects of things, because I just feel like I actually need a season where things don't feel quite so in depth, and just having a bit more fun. Like the last couple of years has been heavy for me. Like I've had a lot go on as well, in terms of, I had like some illness, and then that kind of kept trickling onwards. I haven't spoken about this on social media. I had like a cancer scare recently. I've just had like so many things happen. And I'm like, I need a bit of fun, you know. I need a bit of like light-hearted, creative fun. And so if my work just feels a bit like, look, I'm helping people transform, but we're going in with, whether it's the styling or just stuff that doesn't have to be quite so heavy, that works for me at the minute. I've got no problem
Yeah,
coaching, but I'm not pushing it, because I'm like, actually, this is my time
yeah.
to integrate, recoup, fall back in love with life again after what has been quite a difficult integration.
Wounds, wardrobe. Wounds, wardrobe. Which one?
They're just fabulous bandages, darling.
Well, I think we're in a phase of life where um I don't know too much about astrology, and
Okay.
again, of the heretic this way, but I understand that we've moved systems, or we've moved from a karmic model to a mirror model, which
Right.
means that actually so much of our life experience can be is mirroring to us either who we are or who we're not, and
Yeah.
our opportunity is to look in that, and the understanding I have is that by having a mirror model, our soul can ascend in awareness and consciousness much quicker,
Mm.
because we are frequently send that which we are or that which we're not, and our ability to discern between the two. Well, this is a bit much like you would do with a wardrobe. This is a bit of me, or this is no longer a bit of me. And
Right.
that mirror work that maybe you might be doing with people is a
Mm.
great metaphor for what everything and everyone represents to us.
Yeah. And I think that, I know a lot of people, I think, particularly in the spiritual world, will probably go, oh, just work. It's all about your mind. It's not about how you look. But I'm like, but again, coming back to what we were talking about right at the beginning about meanings, is unfortunately, we are so conditioned to give meaning and subconscious judgment to everything. We're like constantly filtering and interpreting information. And I truly believe that, like, when we look in the mirror and we go, I think I look good and I feel good, um, and I create that meaning about myself, I show up differently for life. It's an inside out process. Some people are like, I can reach confidence and so on and so forth without the clothes. But I also think that sometimes by giving people those 3D tools,
Yeah.
you can also elevate what's going on the inside. So I think it's a two-way street.
It's a two-way street, and I would go, if from my own personal beliefs, to say that internal frequency, that all internal authenticity already exists,
Mm.
and then sometimes what doesn't happen is the harmony with the external. So there's that kind of phrase that says, "As within, so without,"
Yes.
and the word "without" does not mean lacking and you don't have. As with
Mm.
in what I have within,
Yeah.
as I will have on the out,
Yeah. I
and
agree. I agree.
yeah, so I see your work as a wonderful alignment between my outside now reflects how I feel on the inside, therefore there's harmony.
Yes, and I think is that sometimes people are like, I feel like a complete badass on the inside, but on the outside, I feel like a flipping troll. Like, the two aren't marrying, and it's like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah,
But honestly, I think like some people, do you know what? Again, style doesn't have to be about formula. So I totally get this, as now having trained in styling. It's like, yes, okay, body shapes is all about, oh, hang on, my flipping iPad's going off and going all funny on you. um styles can be very much about color, bringing out the best in you. It can be about the shapes of clothes and what is, you know again, stereotypically flattering. But also, style gets to be just like whatever you want. Like, if you put something on, you're like, I feel amazing in that. It isn't for me to go, oh, but that doesn't suit your, your body shape. Like, it's about how you feel in things. And sometimes that's about permission and
Yeah.
going, you have permission to do that. So yeah, it is that. It's either allowing what's on the outside to reflect what's already on the inside, or it's getting things on the outside to help bring out the best in you from within.
Yeah, I mean, there's some scripture that says about the fruits of the spirit are like patience, self-control,
Right.
like love, all right. I've often said on the podcast before, if a man goes fishing and he comes back more present and loving for his partner and children, then I'm afraid that fishing is a spiritual act.
Yeah.
We might have spiritual cosplay where we're in like yoga pants and we're seeing all these people doing ayahuasca. That is spiritual cosplay. Spiritual simply means recognizing the spiritual beings that we are. And if styling is a gateway to that, fishing's a gateway to that. The
Yeah.
wisdom is to observe the difference it makes within and without as to who you
Yeah.
feel you're being whilst you're being that person.
Exactly. It's all about what is a gateway for you. And it absolutely is a gateway for me. And when we're talking about identity, it's one of the quickest ways you can start stepping into that shift. You said about, what did you say, model, what was your
Model
thing?
it till you master it.
Let you master it, literally, is that. And I know what people go, oh, fake it till you make it, or act as if, but I'm very much, I go on the like, be as if, just do it. Like, once, if I show up looking like this today, or whatever character it is, or avatar you want to be, I'm not pretending, I'm doing it, I'm being it right now. And I think it's that. And it's just keeping on with it, keeping up with it, until it becomes second nature, and it becomes,
Yeah.
because I think this is the thing, is like what we were talking about earlier with boundaries and things and being firm. It's like that, there's aspects of that where that may still not come completely naturally to me. I'm doing it, and at some point it's going to root in, and it will be like, okay, I'm safe to do this, I can do it, I can keep doing it, it's normal. And I think if people are like, oh, I'm waiting until it feels completely natural and then I'll do it, is like, no, it doesn't always work that way.
Yeah. So I had Neil Donald Walsh on the podcast a couple of times. He's the author of Conversations with God, and
Yes.
in book 3, Neil's asking God about how does he become a highly evolved being. So he's having this conversation about these communities and these civilizations that are highly evolved. And the spoiler alert is that we are not a highly evolved species. He said, God says to him, "How, isn't it funny? The sign of a primitive society is one that professes to be highly evolved and then does the things that regresses." Anyway, but Neil's saying, how do we become highly evolved? And God says to him, um, you have these two principles, that you are one, and then that there's enough. And Neil's like, yeah, but give me the tips, give me the strategies, give me the how. And God
Yeah.
just says exactly what you just said. Be as if. Act as if you are one. Act as if there's enough. It's like you have to practice. You have to practice being this person. There's no fraud. It's just practice.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's it. It's like, that's, if you feel like you're a fraud, you're not embodying it yet. But it is like, from being it, that's it. But there is times where it is just like, I know it as well. Like, we both know it. There's things where I'm like, I need to be a bit more of that, more often.
Yeah. And I think, the thing that we get is in declaring who we are, in boldly proclaiming, this is I. Well, the universe goes, okay, I hear that loud and clear. Let me send you the opposite just so you're really clear.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, honestly, like, the thing that I've noticed is, I'm really going for it with YouTube this week, and then I noticed that they took um my iPad will die in a minute. Sorry, everybody, but we're wrapping up anyway.
We are, yeah.
We've drained it to the last inch. But long story short is, I've got a shop wall, and all my products that are my best things all disappeared. It's all been taken down. And my other friend had something else to do with YouTube, and I said, it's funny how when you declare what you're going to do, sometimes I feel like you get this little test, like a pullback of, you're gonna do it, you're still gonna.
How committed are you?
How committed are you? And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm very committed. You can't bring me down.
Well, this is it. And I think the last thing I listened to this morning is that we no longer then need to be sent the opposite once we have already chosen.
Yes.
Well, this is the bit I aspect. I'm aware that I could experience the totality of it. In my I amness, that I have already experienced all that there is, therefore I no longer need the opposite. Thank you very much.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta. Yeah. Farewell. Thank you. God bless. Yeah, 100%. Where can people connect with you? Where can they find you? What can they expect from you over the next couple of months?
Okay, so top platform, YouTube at Miss Manifester. Same thing on Instagram. To be honest, at the minute, Instagram is obviously, I think, long run going to be aimed more at the boss babes, but right now it's just me exploring my life. And obviously my website, www.missmanifester.com. So you can expect what I kind of said on YouTube, 3 videos a week, all helping you to affirm and declare and be the person you want to be.
Love it. What do you hope that your heartprint of your videos will be?
For me, it's just people showing up to their lives. Like sometimes it is getting things, like things arriving for them that they absolutely deserve. But for me, it's them feeling emotional relief and feeling like they can move on to their next chapter, being the best version of themselves.
And here's to having that in abundance. Esther, always love our conversations. Be honoured if you'd leave us a final thought from your good self.
My book that I'm listening to at the moment is The Courage to Be Disliked, and I would highly recommend it. Very much from the stance of you can change at any time and declare who you're going to be.
Sounds like permission and liberation.
Yeah. Have you read that one? Oh, it's a doozy.
Take care, my friend.
Take care. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Hey, my friends, thank you for making it to the end. I hope that our time spent together today has left you a little bit better than before you push play. I'd really appreciate if you just took a moment to leave a review to allow me to meet more people where they are and hopefully leave them a little bit better too. If you're curious to know how I, through Always Better Than Yesterday, can serve you, your team, your organisation, then head to alwaysbetterthanyesterday.com to connect. And while you're there, let me know 1 or 2 things that you're going to do as a result of listening to this conversation. I absolutely love hearing your thoughts, your reflections, and the things that this spark in your own heart and mind. If you want more insights from my heart and mind, I do send out short episodes on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday, and again, I hope that they serve you well. I appreciate you listening. I'm Ryan Hartley, host of the Always Better Than Yesterday podcast, a podcast for heart-centered leaders just like you. Keep leading, my friends. Always love.